purpose of Roy Student Hub and e-learning is to develop the English language proficiency of different learners to help them become confident in reading, writing, speaking, and listening to the English language. Instead of language teaching in isolation and only at the level of the sentence, this course is focused on increasing students' language skills in a comprehensive approach that allows them the ability to improve their listening, communicating, reading and writing skills. Focusing on social contact, the course reflects on the precise usage of constructs, the enhancement of speech and the production of active vocabulary in descriptive, narrative and educational as well as professional texts. Roy Student Hub, Roy e-learning uses an integrated approach to language teaching that teaches all of the 4 language skills, listening, speaking, reading, and writing, in natural settings. Students are encouraged to use online resources and contact our e-mentor for queries. Course outcomes. After completing this course free, student will have improved their listening and reading skills in English, be able to communicate in written and oral English with peers and teachers, rely less on their first languages and increase their use of English in formal and informal situations, have a deeper understanding of correct English structures in descriptive, narrative, and instructional texts. Learning and teaching approaches. Roy e-learning uses an integrated approach to language teaching that teaches all of the 4 language skills, listening, speaking, reading, and writing, in natural settings. Both instructors and student teachers are encouraged to respond through pair and group work and active learning strategies, such as role play, debates, presentations, and brainstorming. Instructors and student teachers are encouraged to use online resources in conjunction on our Roy e-learning program. Roy e-learning links learning approaches with assessment tasks to provide student with the opportunity to accept responsibility for their own learning. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe my channel and ring the bell for latest updates. Comments below for queries.